In 1945, history took a different turn. Nazi Germany, after defeating the USSR and subduing England with a devastating offensive, achieved the impossible, the surrender of the Allies. The United States, finding itself alone in the struggle, signed an armistice in 1946. Now, in 1970, the world lives under the yoke of the Thousand-Year Reich. Europe has been transformed into a Nazi superstate, with Germany controlling all European countries, including collaborators in France, Italy, and the United Kingdom. London is an occupied city where the resistance has been eradicated. Moscow, in ruins after the Soviet collapse, is now the seat of the Eastern Administration, where survivors are subjected to forced labor. In the depths of London, whispers of rebellion ignite hope among the oppressed. A shadowy figure known only as the resistance leader gathers a small group in a dimly lit underground hideout where they strategize their next move against the regime. Far away in Moscow, the grim reality of life under the Thousand-Year Reich comes into sharp focus. In a crowded labor camp, exhausted workers toil under the unforgiving gaze of guards, their spirits unbroken, even amidst the harsh conditions. The Jews and other undesirables have been eliminated in the extended Holocaust, while millions of Slavs have been enslaved or displaced to make room for German settlers in Greater East Germany. In Africa, Nazi domination has spread, establishing colonies where local populations are brutally exploited and repressed. After the armistice, the United States has fallen under a fascist government, sympathetic to Hitler, segregating minorities, and allowing Nazi ideology to infiltrate American society. Meanwhile, Japan dominates the Pacific and much of Asia, with China fragmented into vassal states. Across the nation, propaganda saturates the airwaves, instilling fear and hatred towards those deemed inferior. In the streets, divisions are evident, with signs marking spaces for only certain races, a stark reminder of the government's oppressive grip. Lives are upended as families are torn apart, and the fabric of society unravels under the weight of tyranny. Resistance is met with brutal force, casting a shadow over any hope for freedom or change. The Reich has advanced in technology with a space race where the first flag on the moon was not that of the United States, but that of the Third Reich. V-4 rockets dominate the skies, and nuclear energy is utilized to maintain global order. Yet not everyone has accepted the dictatorship. Guerrillas in South America, Africa, and Asia fight against Nazi dominance. In the shadows, a European resistance movement seeks to overthrow the Reich, but with an omnipresent Gestapo, their survival is uncertain. In a dimly lit room filled with blueprints and maps, a young woman with determined eyes passionately points at a strategic location, rallying her allies around a critical mission. Outside, a tense confrontation unfolds in a dark alley, where the courageous resistance fighters stand their ground against armed Nazi soldiers, illustrating the fierce struggle for freedom against oppression. Under the cover of darkness, an aerial view reveals a vast military camp, bustling with thousands of soldiers, meticulously preparing for an imminent operation against the Nazi forces. A close-up captures the tension in a soldier's hand, gripping a rifle tightly, his face set with resolve, embodying the weight of the rebellion's hopes and fears. Mexico officially remains neutral, yet it falls under Nazi influence due to its proximity to a fascist United States. The government adopts ultranationalist policies, leading to strong discrimination against indigenous minorities. South America is divided between allies and opponents of the Reich, with Argentina and Chile establishing collaborationist governments, while Brazil and Colombia resist with guerrilla warfare in the jungle, fighting against dictatorships sympathetic to Nazism. This is the world that could have been, a world without freedom, without diversity, where fear and oppression reign. A reminder of what history teaches us: evil only triumphs when good does nothing. In secret, resistance movements thrive, fueled by the hope of liberation and the desire for justice. The brave fighters gather in hidden spaces, plotting their next moves against the looming threat of tyranny. Meanwhile, the indigenous communities in Mexico endure a harsh reality, facing persecution while quietly yearning for a return to their heritage and rights. Each day becomes a struggle between survival and the spirit of rebellion, as the shadows of oppression loom large over their lives. Let history never forget the danger of totalitarianism. Share your thoughts on this alternative story, where you're watching from, and how you believe life would be today in your country and city. Don't Don't forget to subscribe to see more what-if stories. In a society dominated by authoritarian control, the classroom becomes a place of indoctrination, shaping young minds to accept oppressive ideologies. Yet hope arises as a brave young activist steps forward, rallying people around the call for freedom and change. In secret, passionate individuals meet in dark corners, exchanging ideas and strategies for resisting oppressive forces that threaten their freedom. The wisdom of the past lives on through stories and books, reminding them of the relentless fight for liberty.